Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Gallery Hangover podcast. I'm trying something new today. I've never been a fan of the cold openings of the show. Most of my guests I know or have a long term professional relationship with, and it always seemed a little artificial to do a formal introduction. I just wanted to try something new and introduce the guest myself. Today's guest is Patti Costello. She's an art agent, primarily based out of LA, and I just thought it would be a wonderful perspective to have both an art agent outside the gallery and a gallery representative to see how those two uh, professions intersect and how they're beneficial to every artist that's able to take advantage of those. So I think that we covered a lot of different topics and a lot of different scenarios. So I really hope you enjoy today's talk, and welcome. We're in full swing of season 3 of the Gallery Hangover, and I'm so thankful to all of you who have been listening, and I hope you continue to enjoy our little podcast. Thank you. Boom. Hi. Hello. Welcome.
Hi.
Please introduce yourself. Tell us about you and how you got started in the art industry.
Okay. I'm Patti Costello, and I used to be a high school principal, a teacher, and when COVID hit, I had a life change, not just from COVID, but from life, and I was contacted by someone to buy her gallery. And so I went and looked at the gallery, and she explained to me selling art was just one facet of keeping a gallery going. And she had an agency where she managed artists. And I thought, okay, I have a background in art. I have an art credential. And it was a perfect fit for me. So the woman's name was Sylvia White. She turned out to be an amazing friend, girlfriend. Unfortunately, she passed. And I basically learned a lot from her. And then ever since then, it's been trial and error. And I think the most important thing is just trying new things all the time.
Well, I think that's the art industry anyway, is the trial and error. I mean, there's never a direct path, and it rarely repeats itself. There's always an ebb and flow over the years. So you always have to try something new. Technology changes things, market changes things. So you're not, whether you're new or not, you're fine. This is Romeo, just in case anybody's wondering who the cutie is.
Yeah, okay. Let's disappear, sweetie pie.
You're fine. He's okay. My dog will pop into our area every once in a while too when we're doing stuff. There we go.
There.
It's Romeo. So I don't, whether you're new at it or whether you've been here, doing it 30 years, I think you have to change to survive. And Sylvia is actually how we met. When we first opened here we got the place in 2011 and we're coming up on 15 years, but Sylvia White was next door, and it was virtually the only contemporary space in town, I think, at that time. And then we popped in and we're doing and fixing and changing. And that's how Sylvia and I met. And then years later, that connection brought you and I together. So that's kind of how we ended up.
Yeah.
I guess you're probably the third. I like to describe it as an art agent.
That's what I call it. And you know what's funny? Sylvia used to say to me, you are a private art consultant, and those happen to be my initials.
Oh, that works.
So yeah,
that works. It's a art agents for me as a gallerist. I know that sometimes there's pushback to that with other galleries. I actually don't mind as long as everything's like running and smoothing, and you're here representing that artist when we need to change exhibitions or I have sales questions and they're not available, and that's totally fine. But I would like you to dive in a little bit on how you feel as an agent, how it benefits that artist, and how you're like, do we have time?
Yeah, I know.
But just in general, because I do think there's a lot of artists out there who they're not going to see the difference. Why do I need an agent and a gallery? Or, what's the benefits or, of each, basically? So from your perspective.
Okay. So here's what I've noticed in doing this. Artists just want to create. They don't want to manage their lives. They don't want to make phone calls. They don't want to send emails. They don't want to ship their items. They don't want to design brochures. They don't want to keep up with their websites. They don't have time.
Yeah.
They're too busy because their artist minds go like this, as you probably know.
Mm-hmm.
They're constantly creating, and you can't create and manage your career in this day and age. It's not like it used to be where you could just go to a gallery and say, hey, let's do a split. Will you accept me? The whole platform's changed, the whole way of sales. And the thing I find the most interesting, not all artists want to sell their art.
No, that is it. I think that it is, it might not be that they don't want to sell, but they have an intrinsic feeling about their art. And so letting it go at any price feels awkward, And so a lot of times you'll see those big price boosts, and then you have to, I'm really sorry, but we're not selling artwork at, $25,000 today. No one knows who you are yet, And so it's just, it's always a little bit of a guidance, and it's always a little bit of a conversation. And so for me, I always think that's good. As a gallerist, I find art managers and art agents incredibly valuable, because those are tough conversations that sometimes a gallery doesn't have that relationship with the artist to have that conversation. Where if you're their manager, you're dealing with all different kinds of galleries and all different kinds of issues, and they trust you to make those, but you and I can have the conversation sort of in a real, a little bit more realistic fashion. And, there's no padding, or there's no, it's not a gentle hand situation. It's a business transaction, and this is the reality of the situation. And then, you then as a manager can say, okay, we've had the talk. This is, I think, what we should do, or I think this is our game plan. So it is a buffer for the gallery, which is fantastic,
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think the thing that most people don't understand about having a manager or an agent or a consultant is, what people don't understand is we have these connections that it would take an artist probably years.
Yeah.
And we think outside the box. We have a way of doing things. There's a hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just I can't just shop a museum for a solo exhibit.
No.
I can't write a proposal. A lot of times people will say, I need a museum. I want a museum show. And I will say, well, let's build your career.
Yeah, you have to.
Let me build you. Let me get you some little wins that will get you there.
Yeah, it's I do think that the networking is the biggest benefit in a lot of ways also, is because no, they're not going to when I am guiding artists, when they say, how do I get out there? How do I get a gallery to like me? Or how do I start those conversations? And my immediate answer is, if you're going to do it yourself, you actually have to go and put your face in front of other people's faces so that they know who you are. Especially people, and I know, if I had this conversation, especially people with higher net worths, they are not trusting of cold calls, of strangers, of, it's virtually by recommendation,
You're 100% correct.
Like 100% of the time.
All my business has been word of mouth.
Yes.
Every single client I've ever had.
Yeah.
And I don't take every client. I want to, I just don't have the time.
Yeah.
And I will help someone. I will give them directions on how to get to the right level where we can, build a relationship.
Yeah.
And I don't want to overtake people, because then it takes away the attention I can give someone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, same thing.
I don't do volume.
That's the same with us. It's like, no, I'm not going to take every single person that wants to be a member of the gallery, because one, you might not be ready. Just in general, the artwork might not be there. Two, you probably don't realize the actual time, not only that you need to dedicate to being a full-time, gallery member, with having the volume of work and being able to constantly work, but you also probably are unaware of, I guess the nicest way to put it is, you just might not be ready yet, And so I have to gauge where an artist is at and how much time it's going to take, as far as getting them prepared and getting out. I'm Yessíca Torres, founder and owner of Dama Gallery and host of the Gallery Hangover podcast. Since 2011, I've built a multi-city gallery business, curated hundreds of exhibitions featuring incredibly talented artists, and fostered a discerning collector base. The number one question I hear all the time is, how do I get my art into a gallery? For the last 15 years, I've cultivated and maintained an open door for opportunities. Through a single submission by location, emerging and established artists can have their work professionally reviewed, be considered for exhibitions alongside our represented artists, build their exhibition resume, and introduce their work into the gallery. And if you feel you're ready for an ongoing gallery relationship with full-time representation and professional guidance, don't wait for an invitation. Reach out and ask us about a membership. There's more than one way in. At Dama Gallery, the door is always open for opportunities. Visit our website at damagallery.com for more info.
What would you say the percentage is of people that come here that you turn away? I've always wondered that.
Oh,
do you mind me asking you questions?
No, it's fine. I mean, I'm probably taking, I would say 1 out of 10 at this point.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it's never personal. It's all, I always consider myself fine art first. And so I look at the work. What is it like? Does it, have a value to not only the gallery, but is something that I know that these collectors are going to actually want to come after, And so, and it's not that we can't try things. I try things all the time. But there has to be a body of work that has the merit behind it, And so that's number one. It has to be fine art first for me. And then after that, it has to be a good relationship with the artist. I mean, if I don't have a good relationship with the artist, or in this case, an artist manager, it will never work ever. And so,
Agreed.
So it's usually art first, personality second. And then from there, the career trajectory can be anything. You could be just starting out. We can go high. You can be already established. Let's go even higher. Or if, depending on what the goal is.
Okay. That's funny that you bring that up. The one thing I really like in a client, okay, I have all different types of clients. The one thing I really like is when someone is hands-on.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I had a client who I would call him up and say, look, I got you a show in New York City. It's a big piece. It's going to be expensive to ship. He's like, no. I have a friend that has a trucking company, and we can, it's a team to make someone successful. It Absolutely. Is a team. I also have the opposite. I have someone that won't answer emails, and I need to make decisions. And this person's like, hey, this is why I'm paying you.
But they still, even though you're paying for the service, you're paying for the network, you're paying for the guidance, but unless you give me power of attorney over your career, there are things I'm going to have to ask you.
Right.
I think that again, like you said, though, a lot of artists are so work centric that's just something that's, I've passed the baton. I no longer have to think about that.
I agree with everything.
Look, it happened to me last night. We just opened in LA. And I'm going through my list. I hired a new assistant. She's doing wonderful. She's outstanding. However, we're still learning, right? There's a learning curve. So there was a couple of things that came up, and I'm like looking through everything. I'm like, I don't have a price for this. It was a replacement piece, and so I'm making tags, and I'm like, all right, well, we're just gonna have to do a price on request. It's what happens. She's a visiting artist. Haven't worked with her before, so it wasn't, it just wasn't something that was for me. The replacement the price of the replacement piece was kind of the last on the list, right? And then we got it. We were calling, texting, emailing, like, hey, we just have a quick question. Like, your artwork is here on premise. Like, we're trying to get stuff done. Crickets, nothing. Couldn't hear it.
Oh no.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, well, price on request. I don't know what to tell you.
That brings up something kind of funny. I have artists that will price their work really high, and then they don't want to negotiate the price.
Yeah.
But then they want sales, and I'll say, well, it's what the market will.
It's also something like, and I know that we've talked about this before, but what I have found, especially with the newer representation that I'm taking on, they're usually working outside their market, meaning that they're, like, one of my artists is in Northern California, and so they don't know anything about the LA market. They don't know anything about Southern California. And I've had to tell them and be honest, like, look, it's going to take you 2, 3, 4 exhibitions before people know you, trust your work, want to make that investment in you. That's the whole point of having a represented gallery, is you have a home gallery that people are going to be able to come back to. But at the end of the day, they have to trust the integrity of the work. They have to find value in you as an artist, and your price point doesn't automatically start at $10,000. because you finished your piece. You know, your price point will probably start at $200 or $300 when you're first starting out, and there's nothing wrong with it. But if and this is again why I always ask the artist, what is your goal? What is your goal? Is your goal to build a resume, be in a show, have, you know, just start building an audience? Are you looking specifically for sales? And when you are looking for sales, what are you looking to sell? You know, you want to do 20 prints of something, or do you want to sell originals? How long does it take you to get your work done? Are you looking to have the exposure of a solo exhibition? You know, do you want to be in a museum? There are a million different ways that an artist can achieve their goals, and the gallery and the agent can help them. But at the end of the day, and this should be my book I ever write, one is, your art is only worth what somebody will pay for it.
It's so true.
You know, if your goal is sales.
So I'm going to comment on that one. When I was involved with the other gallery, we would all bet on there was a few of us, we would bet on what things would sell. There'd be 50 pieces of art. Yeah. We would bet, this one's moving this week at this big event we're having. Mm-hmm. And it didn't move, and it was priced fairly. And then the Barbie head in the fish tank by the front door that was a, you know, installation would sell for $6,000-$7,000. We just would never know what was going to move. We could never predict the sale of art.
No, you can't. I mean, and you can't, because you can't predict who's coming to your shows. You know, if you're marketing, like I've really, really expanded the marketing lately, not because I feel like I've exhausted the area, but because I think it's important to put new eyes on things. And so, you know, you never know who will come down the hill. You never know who's coming down the coast. And they just decide, you know what, today's the date. Last night at the show, I mean, the woman came in 2 minutes, and was like, that's the one I want. And I said, okay, well, let's get it going. You know, I mean, she did not ask a question. She did not want to know anything. She just saw it, loved it, said, I'm here. I said, okay, let's go. You know, I mean, I think she was the first sale of the night. She might've been the third person in the door. Yeah. I mean, it was just, and I'd never met her. It was my very first time meeting her. But she had, you know, been hearing about the gallery, wanted to come down, gone. And so you never know who will come in, you know, and then I have people that come in all the time. I see the same 5 faces, and they're so good to see you. Let's have a chat. And they didn't buy anything last night, you know?
There is one thing that I've noticed that helps artists sell their art: loaning your art to not to designers, because sometimes that's just for a house on the weekend for their open house. Careful of that. Sorry, designers.
No, it's true. Yeah.
If you have someone that is a fan and they're on the fence, let them take the art home and try it in the house.
Yeah.
And another thing is, never give them more than 3 pieces of art.
So I would tell you, though, that is where you come in, because as a gallery, I can't do that. As a gallery, we are responsible for that artwork. So letting it off the premise, I've only done that a handful of times with a collector that I know their house. I know their kid's not going to knock it off the wall. They've bought several pieces, right? And the trust is there that, God forbid anything happened to it, they're going to pay for it no matter what, right? So that is a very, like, it doesn't, you know, but you as an agent,
yes,
that's where they know they can trust you, and you're going to have that, you know.
Right. It's usually a qualified collector.
Yes.
A qualified collector. Yes. And I've lent out art. Another thing is, some agents like me, we have connections at prop houses. There's several prop houses in LA, Burbank, Studio City, where we have relationships. Yeah. And they don't take a lot of art, so it's also another dice roll. Yeah. But the art rental business is kind of another sideways area to get exposed.
Absolutely. I mean, it is, and that is, I will tell you, that one right there is where the networking comes in hand, and that's where your connections are valuable as an agent.
100%.
Because as a gallery, I'm not a huge gallery, right? And I have had, you know, I've had people reach out to us for things randomly, but it's not something that is not a consistent part of the business for my size gallery. If you got the big dogs, then I'm sure you got somebody who's, you know, kind of dedicated to that. But as far as what I do, that's where the agents come in,
right?
You know, and you have the network, and I think that is, again, that's one of the best values. I wanted to just quickly talk about too, before we get too sidetracked, is your client, my represented artist, Lynn. So Lynn Deutsch she has a very long history. And we've only been working together now for about 6-8 months or so. Please, if you can, tell us about Lynn and how you got started with her. And
okay, I can talk about Lynn because she's here with this gallery Dama here. Okay, this is actually one of Lynn's. And Lynn is a very interesting woman. She travels the world, and she started off as a photographer. And I can't even put into words some of her pictures. They're very beautiful. They're very unique. I think my personal favorite is in my car right now that I just took off your wall.
The African series.
The African series. She went to Africa, and she has African Gaze, which has been on TV shows, and it's going to a prop house when I leave here. It's going back. Lynn's a very interesting person. She likes abstracts too. So I find with most artists, it's not always one dimensional. They have all these different ways of creating. I mean, I think if you're an artist, you're going to create.
There's definitely something to be said there. She's what we'd refer to as like a multidisciplinary artist. I mean, she has this background in photography, but obviously as a creative, she wants to try other avenues. So I'm excited to have these in the gallery. I think it's a totally different direction. And so these will be up for the next show that's coming up. But it'll be on view by the time everyone sees this, so she'll be in the show Revelry. But I think that it's going to attract a different person,
Absolutely.
People that are coming in for photography, which in general, I will say, in my experience, I feel like the market for photography is starting to slow down a little bit. And the photographers that are really still coming out and standing out and selling are more on the analog side of things, because I think that with the technology and AI and all this stuff, everyone's starting to make their own decisions on what, they're willing to kind of see, what they're willing to put the value on for fine art, as opposed to something they think that they can just do or take with their phone or,
Right.
So, but the analog photography, I think, is still going very strong. But I'm happy that we're able to get a different discipline from her. And I do think that they're high impact. They have good color. They're nicely framed. Like, I think we'll see quite a bit of viewership for them.
I think her abstracts, especially the ones I brought you, because she has some that are collage based too. I think the size of her abstracts are unique because you can cluster them in a hallway. She has a series. I also think that traditionally, from what I've seen, people tend to like really large abstracts for, big wall spaces. I love the size. I think the scale and the size of Lynn's work is going to do well.
Well, hello, Yessíca Torres here again, founder and owner of Dama Gallery and host of the Gallery Hangover podcast. Lynn's abstracts are currently on view as part of the exhibition Revelry in Ventura, California. Visit our website to view all the available works on exhibit and download a free copy of the entire exhibition catalog, which includes the featured artist info, artwork specifications, and curator notes. Go to damagallery.com and plan your next visit. I'm happy to have her, obviously. So it was a nice, introduction. I know you had reached out to the gallery, you found us, and saw you liked what we were doing. So I was happy to have that. And
by the way, I don't like every gallery.
No. That's also I would say as an art agent, you're probably pretty finicky with who.
I am finicky.
Yeah,
I am, and I'll tell you something. The way your gallery shows, it's clean and it looks very professional.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
So I look online. I want to see how you show online, because most of our buyers these days are online.
They're definitely doing their homework online before they're making their purchase. It's not, everyone wants to do their research. Everyone's looking for what I call the Yelp review, or, it's like, I want to make sure where I'm going is going to be good.
Okay, here comes some dirt.
Okay.
So a couple years ago, I got an artist into a Laguna Beach gallery. And Laguna Beach is really hard. It's cliquey.
Yeah.
It's cliquey to get into. Same with Newport. So I got this artist, and I didn't look at the gallery online ahead of time.
I feel like I already know where this is going, but go ahead.
I didn't look at the gallery very well, and I was working at the time with an big art agent.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was like, hey, perfect. This person's going to love it. Well, when the artist took the art down to the gallery,
know. It's a kiosk, isn't it?
No.
Oh,
I'll tell you
okay,
later.
Go ahead. I'm jumping the gun because I know that there's a kiosk down there that calls themselves a gallery, and I was
no, it wasn't a kiosk.
Okay,
but it was. You got to remember, beach galleries are not big. They can't afford to be.
Right.
If you're on PCH, you're usually in a long, skinny space.
Yeah.
She had paintings next to each other, like with no wall space. And then T-shirts were hanging in the middle of the gallery. She was selling like T-shirts about Laguna Beach, like tourists. There was a whole T-shirt pile. And when the artist went down there, they were like, ooh, you got me in a T-shirt shop.
Oh,
and
no.
a souvenir. And I go, no, she's actually a gallerist who
is trying to make
ends meet, obviously, because the art market's hard right now.
Yeah.
But it was a very cluttered, very tchotchke looking gallery.
Yeah.
And when I say your gallery shows super clean, it does.
Well, I appreciate that. It's
super clean.
I think we just had this conversation the other day. I feel like we're finally at this place where, generally speaking, we have a stride. Him with like our co-working and our studios, and then me with the galleries. There's just this, been doing it so long now. Like I don't want to say I nail it every time, but I do feel that way. Like the shows are great. They show well. Artwork has its space to breathe and be, valued and independently.
When I looked at your gallery, we FaceTimed, and you guys had the red sculpture in the middle of the room.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I was sold.
Yeah.
I was sold.
Ito. Yeah. I always try to do something really good. We have such a great, space here that I love to have that
gorgeous
anchor, that focal point. Yeah. It was a cool piece. It was a cool piece. Yeah.
It was a metal and painted red, and it was just really dramatic, and it just accented all the way that you curated around it. And that's what sold me.
Oh, well, thank you. Appreciate that. Well, I'm excited for this show too. We've got, it's because it's the anniversary show. It's a combination of some legacy artists that I've worked with many times over the years, or, other art that I'm like, I love these people, are so great. And then a lot of the new representation as well. So it's really, really a good, it's a good way to kind of see the gallery artistically, and, that culmination of art of 15 years. So I'm kind of excited about it. Yeah. Do you have anything that you want to add I know, because you do art, but you also have other ways that you're in other industries you work with.
I do. So I believe people are artsy.
Yeah.
And art isn't always,
it's not
on
always
canvas or a photograph. I do work in some entertainment, and mostly it's management of careers. And sometimes people that are in the public eye are victims of all kinds of horrible things.
Yeah.
Like lawsuits and.
Yeah, because people think they can take advantage.
They do. And if there's a name behind someone, there's going to be a shakedown.
Yeah.
And it's attorney driven sometimes, not just the person, but the attorneys will take things on contingency. So there's always like, other than art management, there's other ways to manage artists.
Right. How do you, I don't want to say which one do you like more, because that's not really fair. But, how do you gauge as far as, working in the art industry for visual arts and galleries versus the entertainment industry? And I know you have some crossover because you're loaning out the art and stuff like that, but
for studios, yeah.
Yeah. And so I think I asked you a little while, like, which one do you like more? Which one's easier? But I just wanted to see not only the differences, but also how they're parallel to each other from, an artistic.
Okay. That's a really funny question. Okay. So I've noticed that artists, some of them are financially stable, and this is kind of a thing that they've always wanted to do. It's a passion.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not so interested in the sales. They're more interested in getting accolades and being famous.
Okay.
And in the entertainment business, usually people are already famous. So they're more interested in not the accolades, but just having a quality experience or just living a peaceful life.
Got it.
So does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. I mean, you have it, like you said, everyone's got their own kind of vision for what, they want their piece to be, right? They have their own vision for what their daily should look like. So, and you're trying to manage both of those things.
Yeah, there's a lot of different facets and all of that. But I would say the art world, I have so many, I think the personalities of the people in the art world are over the top.
It's eclectic.
It is.
It's eclectic.
You know what? Yeah. It keeps you on your toes, and I always end up being friends with them.
Yeah. Well, most artists, it is at least in my experience, most artists, they definitely live in their own world, which is totally fine. I guess we all do to a certain extent, but they're definitely, their bubble is definitely, it's work driven. There's a thing sometimes as a creator that's what you're thinking about. That's your next step. So that's kind of it's very consuming, and there's not necessarily wrong with it, but as an outsider, if I need to interact with your world, I have to learn how to navigate that. And so it's getting to know them, and it's getting to know their personalities and their idiosyncrasies just like anybody else, but almost like amplified because it's an artist.
Right. I have to say, though, the one thing for me in this career that I fell into and absolutely love, I don't feel like I'm working.
Yeah.
And I get more excited sometimes than the artist if I get a win. Because when I get them into a show and I call them up, I call it a win.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, hey, I got a win for you. And they're like, what does that mean? And I go, okay, you're going to be in this show. And you actually took third place out of 700 people. I'm talking about Lynn here.
Yeah.
She was in the Ebell Center, and there were 750 entries. They took 50 or 60, and she got third place.
Wow.
But not with this painting. It was with the lady with the nails.
Yeah.
I don't think you saw that one.
No. You had shown, when we first started looking at Lynn's work, we were photography based, and then you kept mentioning the abstracts. So, okay, let's take a look at them, because I want to be able to show different facets of an artist, especially if they're representing artists. I want people to know that it's, there's more, that it's not just one dimensional.
Okay. I'm going to make a comment.
Okay.
Other gallerists have said, no, make sure your artist picks a lane.
Yeah.
And I say, no, because their brain is constantly moving and changing.
Yeah.
They may have been a photographer 10 years ago to get them where they're going now.
Yeah.
And I can give an example of Edward L. Rubin. He started off just taking pictures of mannequins. They were so interesting. And then he came up with that whole series.
Yeah. Well, he has that set design background as well. And that comes out, that's abundantly clear.
Right.
It's very well composed. So he does have, I am definitely the opposite of that. But I also am not, I do things a little bit different. I think I come from the gallery background because I grew up in the setting. So I know what that business is like and how it was originally. I mean, I'm obviously older, but when it, originated to how it is now. And then I also come from an artist background. So my goal has always been to try to combine those things into a fashion that is going to be beneficial for both parties, right? I don't need to just be a gallerist full time and have this like business first and this is all I want and that's what sold last time, so give me another one of those. That's not how artists work. Like you said, their brain is constantly evolving. And then the artist side of me is like, I know when I'm done painting something, I don't ever want to paint it again. There's like, if a series has ran its course, I'm done. We're good. I need to move away from that because I need to create something else. You cannot pigeonhole an artist into doing the same thing over and over again unless they want to. That's their prerogative. But most artists will evolve and change. And I think you have to be supportive of that or you will lose them as an artist. I think that the collector relationship also gets tainted because you just keep pushing the same thing again and again and again without having your collectors trust you and saying, hey, look, this art has evolved and you are all, you're investing in something new. It'll have that same value as well. So I'm not into the lane,
I
as
also
they
think
say.
as collectors, we change.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
we totally change
Yeah.
depending on what's going on in our lives or what
Yeah.
our experiences are. And I mean, I remember the 80s, everybody wanted a nagel.
Well, I know. No, I think absolutely every single generation changes.
Yeah.
But it's just, there is I think I really, it's, for me, I say it again and again, but it really is fine art focused. I want good work over everything, right? I want good work over everything. I want quality presentation. I want to have something that has substance and value in the art itself. And then I feel like everything else is going to come together. The exhibitions are going to come together. The artists will want to be here. The art will be good, as a whole, the quality and the caliber.
I have a comment on that one. One of the things that's really hard for me as an agent, the thing that's the hardest for me is when an artist has to spend a lot of money. And the one thing I do as an agent, I am so careful with my artist money.
Yeah.
I don't want overpriced framing. I don't want expensive web designers or brochures that are, I don't want them to overprint, because when they add new things, then the
you
old
don't
ones
have to, though.
right.
Yeah.
And even just entrance fees into shows can really add up.
Well, that's for me, and we literally just talked about this last night.
And shipping.
Well, shipping will kill.
Shipping
kills everyone. Yeah, but it's but for me, I told them last night, there has been this tone or theme, however you want to call it. It's a topic almost on virtually every conversation I'm having with artists, art agents, but is the call entries and the money, and so I've actually been telling people, like, you may want to think about a membership. And I don't mean, and this is where I'm the bad salesman. I'm not even talking about my gallery. I'm talking about in general. There are a million membership galleries. They all offer something different, and they are all within different price points for people and whatever that budget is. But if a membership gallery is going to guarantee your shows, they're going to put you on exhibit in their gallery, that you're going to have, that your art is going to be in front of people's faces for the next 6 months, a year, whatever it's going to be. That is the investment, instead of just casting this crazy broad net and then just fingers crossed, I hope I get in. I don't know. I feel like that is starting to evolve. You've got the call for entry platforms that are out there. They have value. I think that they're there, but I think that artists are starting to recognize, I need something that's more focused on me. Mm-hmm. I need something that's going to be a better bang for my buck.
So let me tell you what those are good for.
Yeah.
The call for entries. Those are good for building resumes.
Oh yeah, I say that all the time.
That's what I highly recommend. And I can give away all the secrets because I want to help someone. But the call for entry, if you want to just start building a resume, and you're not going to get into every show, don't take it hard. I have had people come up to. I was a juror in a gallery for a call for entry show, and just by coincidence, a woman looked up who the jurors were. I was one of the jurors. She knew me from a yoga class in the area, and she came up to me and she says, "Why wasn't I picked?"
Oh wow!
I was in a Irish pub, and she came up to me and asked me, "Hey, why wasn't I picked?"
Yeah,
and it was so passionate for her. And I said, there were several jurors on that show, and there was only so much wall space, and the biggest problem we had was the amount of entries. There were 600 for that particular one. 600.
This is why I actually have
30 spots.
I've stepped away from juried shows for a couple of reasons. One, I just can't deal with that many artists at one time anymore. I'm too tired. I just am. And the other thing is, I feel like I'm at the point now where I love the group shows. I like the solo shows, but the juried shows, they always feel like it's so much work, and I'm never selling as much out of the juried shows as I am the group shows, right? Because people want to come in, they want to see, I want to see 2 or 3 from this artist, right? I want to see, I know, this is a represented artist. I know I'm going to see them again when I come. And while the juried shows, if they're thematic, like we always used to have the annual photography show, and it was great and it was fine, but it was more like it turned into, I should say, it started turning into more of just like a kitschy event, rather than like I'm drawing in different people. I want to draw in the people that want to come and really care and they're passionate. They want to buy fine art, as opposed to, this thing's kind of cool. Let's go check it out. We get our free drink and then we're out. And that's why I'm kind of stepping away. I do not disagree with you on the building of the resume, though. It's great if you're really starting out. You just want to get into a few shows, but at the same time, there's no guarantee that you get in, and so you may.
That's the comment of the entry fees becoming expensive, because they're like $40 to $100 to join, to enter, and you may not get in. That's non-refundable. And if I'm picking shows for you based on your art and what the theme of the show is, okay, here's a secret I do. I research the jurors.
Yeah.
I want to know their backgrounds. I want to know who they are. I want to see what they like. And then I go through your portfolio and I pick it. I might ask you like, hey, how do you feel? But I will look at what's going on. Yeah. And it's a dice roll every time.
Well, it's not any different than even just the regular shows, whether they're a juried show or it's group show, or call for consideration like I have, which is, you need to do your homework on the gallery no matter what. And you need to do your homework on, if that art is going to fit whatever that contemporary gallery maybe, shows, or if they have a history of showing a particular style and you're the opposite, maybe don't apply to that gallery. It's just, you always have to do your research. But I think there's a place for everything, obviously, and a good resume builder. But yeah, I can't keep up anymore.
Right. But there is a hierarchy too.
Sure.
So what you do is here's another secret. You start building your shows, okay? And you try to do local shows for the cost of shipping, unless the money is not an object. I've had clients that are like, send it to Portugal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And it was, I think, $6,000 to ship.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It was. We sold a piece one time. The piece was $4,800, and it was a buyer in Greece. They bought off of First Dibs.
I believe it. And then they probably paid more in shipping than they did the piece.
And they did.
Yeah,
they did. And the gallerist turned over her cut to help the artist.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but the shipping is crazy. Oh, yeah. But the hierarchy goes: you get into some shows. You build your resume. After some shows, I start to hunt for solo shows.
Yeah. And
I usually try to do that face to face.
Yeah.
Locally. If it's not, then I got issues. I do like Zoom. You can do a lot more on Zoom. Mm-hmm. I think that's how we met too.
Well, yeah, you had called, and then I'm not here full time, and so then we set up a spot to have our face. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And then after that, I try to go for university museums, because they're not as big as, Guggenheim, LACMA, all those ones. So the university museums are a great resource. Many schools have great museums.
Yes, absolutely.
And then, you go for the gold.
Yeah.
Which would be major museums.
Yeah. And as long as you have your resume and recommendation and your art has that, merit and value behind it as a growth.
Merit and value. Yeah. That is a great way to describe it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we better start powering down. I just want to say thank you. You've been, not only thank you for coming, but thank you for,
Thank you. You're the easiest to work with. Thank you for
entering into my lane. I appreciate it.
You're the easiest to work with.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Do you want to plug anything while you're on here?
Of course I do.
Let's do it.
Let's plug Lynn Deutsch.
Okay.
Lynn Deutsch, like I mentioned earlier, is very talented and very passionate. And she's so passionate about her art that I'll say to her, Lynn, we want to sell this one. And she'll say, no, I don't know if I want to part with it. My husband will be mad. It's a one of a kind. But no, Lynn has a great series of photography, African art. She has beautiful Italian beach series, lots and lots and lots of interesting faces of people around the world. tend to like that one. Mm-hmm. But now this abstract series, we're going to see how this goes.
yeah, so this will be on view. That we have our show that opens on Saturday. By the time this comes out, we'll be in full swing of our exhibition, and that people will be able to come and view it until October 18th.
Okay, and I want to make sure everybody knows there's a series of 6 that can be clustered. And I'm sure Yessíca can answer all the questions on pricing.
Yeah, we'll have everything ready for our viewers and our obviously our opening event, but also our gallery hours too. So yeah,
that sounds great.
We'll be here. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. I think that's it.
Oh my God, you had a puppy sit, huh?
Hello, Yessíca Torres here again, founder and owner of Dama Gallery and host of the Gallery Hangover podcast. This is a very quick thank you for listening to the podcast today, and I hope you'll visit the gallery site to see all of the current exhibitions, artist opportunities, and collector catalogs. Go to damagallery.com and plan your next visit.